Welcome to the Forging Wellness Podcast, where we go beyond the basics of health and wellness to build stronger minds, bodies, and communities. I'm your host, Jesse Clark, a firefighter, paramedic, and coach with 19 years as a first responder. I have a passion for this job, for my family, and for truly enjoying life. But I'll be the first to admit I haven't always gotten it right. I've had my ups and downs, made mistakes, and learned some lessons the hard way. But that's what this podcast is all about, learning, growing, and forging a better path together. We're diving into mental and physical health, fitness, nutrition, sleep, leadership, real-world challenges, history, and what it truly takes to thrive. Whether you're a current first responder, aspiring to be one, retired, or the spouse of one, this is for you. Life is more than just making it through the day. Let's forge ahead together. Now let's get into it. All right. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Forging Wellness. Today, before we get started, just in lieu of recent events up in North Idaho, we do want to do just a brief moment of silence for our fallen brothers up there. It has been a wild week, and our hearts just go out to all of Idaho, but specifically the families closely affected in North Idaho. All right. Once again, thank you for joining us on Fortune Wellness. My name is Jesse Clark. Today with us, we have Mike, the owner of Deemed Fit. It is a clothing company, and he is based out of New York. He's been a law enforcement officer for approximately 10 years. And I'm going to let him tell his story, but really this is just a cool movement to support first responder mental health. And that's really kind of the short version of it. But Mike, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about everything that you got going on.
Thank you very much. So yeah, my name is Mike Demarino. I'm the owner and founder of Deemed Fit Apparel. But what started Deemed Fit Apparel is I'm currently a law enforcement officer for going on 10 years already. I started in the NYPD in New York City in 2016. And then in 2020, I switched over to another police department out on Long Island where I am now. And when I switched over to another police department in Long Island where I am now, this was in lieu of COVID and the George Floyd riots. That's when law enforcement and first responders kind of got shorter end of the stick on far as like the riots and this kind of like hatred towards police officers, especially during the light of all those riots. When I switched over to this police department that I'm in now, I decided with better quality of life, more times off, I wanted to start an apparel company that kind of motivates and like really focus on the mental health and well-being overall for first responders and cops. Like there's a lot of Semitism within the job itself that kind of like we have like the older guys with 25 years on says, oh, like, why do you guys take this job? Like even within the job, like younger people, like at the time only 5 years on, it was like like a lot of like no motive, like there's no one really kind of like on our side saying like it's good to be a cop, like
Right.
the movement. So the meaning behind Deemed Fit was like Deemed Fit for duty, like be proud to be a cop, like
Yeah. Okay.
get each other's back and stuff. So when I started the apparel company, that was the movement. And then along with, obviously providing apparel for fellow cops and firefighters and first responders, EMT, EMS workers, I wanted to donate 10% of proceeds to other charities that focus on the mental health of first responders. So it's on the website, but some things that I've done, we did a big thing for Tunnel to Towers, which I'm sure everyone's familiar with. We raised over 10 grand for them in my first year. We worked closely with this nonprofit in Long Island called Beyond the Badge, where in our first 3 months, we raised 4 grand for them. And as time went on, we donated to other nonprofits that kind of reached out to us from other states. That obviously at first we were localized on Long Island, and then other states kind of reached out to us to see like what we can do for them. So, we also donated custom apparel to agencies, to other nonprofits. Like people liked our designs because we have one, famous one that says, "Are you okay with the blue line" on the hoodie? And a lot of nonprofits ask for their logo with that logo as to be shipped to them. So as we go on, we want to, we're not afraid of answering to any nonprofits that want to reach out and work with us, because what I also learned was that nonprofits are very localized. But there's really not one
Yeah.
big one as a resource that helps first responders and military members. I learned that it's really, really localized. And maybe that could be good because, maybe these people like are rather be more familiar with their, people within their area. But I mean, I think it's crazy that there's not one big kind of hub umbrella nonprofit for first responders and military
Sure.
in the country. So that's why we kind of just, rely on localized charities to kind of reach out to us and see ways that we could help them. So I only started this
Yeah.
about years ago, and I'm trying to scale it up more. And the more we scale it up, the more we can help.
Yeah. So there's a lot to unpack in that first little bit there, and I'm super excited to get into it. Yeah, it would be super rad if we just had this overarching nonprofit for first responders. But the reality is, we lump first responders together, but there is so many differences between cops, firefighters. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of similarities too, and we work side by side on a lot of things. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. What you and me do, brother, are not the same, right? Like, I can't even begin to imagine some of the things that you experience on your side of the coin. And so I applaud you. I thank you for what you do, but what we do is not the same. And so for a nonprofit to take into account pretty much all the variables between police, fire, paramedics, Terry, nurses, if we're going to throw in all the first responders, it's a lot. And so getting a little bit more specific, you just need nonprofits to reach out to you because you don't know about them and they might not know about you. So that's what this podcast is all about anyway, is connecting people to resources that potentially can just grow our community nationwide. Another thing that stood out to me in what you said in your initial intro was just the fact about bringing back the pride and culture surrounding being a cop, being a firefighter, being a paramedic, because that all changed during COVID for whatever reason. Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of little reasons overall, but I think, people were scared of COVID. A lot of people were very scared of COVID. And the reality is, we were essential workers that had to go out and still take care of it and potentially exposed to COVID. And I think people realize, like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't, that's maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, I mean, sorry to interrupt.
No,
I feel like during COVID, we were champions, right? We were saying heroes, 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 and then those events in Minnesota, we were like, wait, no, we actually hate cops. We hate cops. Like, it was just crazy how people just quickly change face immediately, and
totally. So we were definitely praised during COVID, but I think we lost a lot of our like recruitment during COVID. People didn't necessarily want to join as much, but they were thankful that we were around. But yeah, and then the riots happened, lots of things happened, and we weren't on that pedestal anymore. And not that we should be on any sort of pedestal, but there should be some pride and some real meaning behind what you're doing when you enter into this career. Like, start of this episode, we had a moment of silence for our brothers up north, Idaho, that just lost their lives. Two firefighters lost their lives to a sniper on the hill that had started a fire intentionally to draw people in. And that is the reality. Each one of us, when we sign up for this, now, do most people think that as a firefighter, you're probably going to get shot at unexpectedly? No, but it has happened before and it will probably unfortunately happen again. But the reality is, we choose to serve our community in that way. Now, as a cop, I'm sure you probably expect that maybe a little bit more than a firefighter would,
right.
but nobody goes into each day expecting that it might be their last, and definitely not their families. And we just want to do the best we can for the communities that we love, the communities that we live in, because we want it to be awesome.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly right. Like, we're not like, and obviously, like, people on the outside don't understand, like, we're not looking to be enforcers, or we're not looking to like be malicious in anything we do. We literally just want to like keep the peace, and we want to make sure that you guys like almost like don't need us for anything, and we're just there if
Yeah.
you need us. We're not looking to be a part to like any time from your everyday lives. We're not looking to do that. We're just trying to be there if you need us. We're not the evil We're not evil robots that, that just go around looking to be enforcers of any kind of laws or anything like that. It's just we're there, and if you need us, like, it's all about community policing. We're not looking we're looking to be on the outskirts and just make sure that you live your life accordingly and just according to how you want to live it. And we're just on the outskirts making sure that you do that safely. That's it.
Yeah. We live in a free country where people can pretty much do whatever they want as far as dress the way they want, say the things that they want to. But at the same time with that, it shouldn't impede on anybody else's right to do the same thing. And
Right.
so we're just literally trying to keep the balance in between.
Yeah.
And like you said, just community. It doesn't matter. Luckily, I feel blessed to be where I'm at. I would assume that on the East Coast, I mean, you guys have a lot more people, but we live in a phenomenal community. I'm sure you do too, right? But you just have a lot more demographics than we do.
Yeah, it's a lot like, I'm looking outside my window right now, like, it's a house and then immediate house, like, there's no open spaces between anything, so it's a lot of people packed together, and it's a lot of different personalities, a lot of demographics, a lot of different cultures all packed together, and it's just like, we have to make sure that we're all living side by side with each other in the most peaceful and sound way.
Well, I love that, Mike. So let's talk a little bit more about Deemed Fit. So most of your apparel, it's fitness apparel.
Yeah, it's like activewear and athleisure, that's what I like to
Okay.
call it. It's
Okay.
not like yeah, it's not anything luxury, it's kind of just I kinda base the apparel around, like, what I like to wear. I like to wear joggers, I like to wear hoodies, I like to wear T-shirts, shorts, like, just kinda like more of, like, a kinda basic way of doing it. Yeah, and I guess it's basically built around not only like it's not only being mentally fit but physically fit, right? So that's why obviously exercise and mind. That's
Yeah,
why the right after this I'm gonna go run for like 6 miles, and that's gonna make me feel good mentally
totally.
because I got physically fit. So that's kind of like why I stick to active wear and athleisure, where it's like kind
Cool,
of
man.
motivational behind getting yourself physically fit for sure.
Yeah, your apparel is athletic apparel, but its branding is mental health and
Yeah.
supporting mental health, right? But the two of those things go hand in hand, just like what you were saying. And so that together creates overall wellness. I'll go on a little side story here. The whole reason that you and I initially made contact was I was trying to create a first responder conference here in this side of the nation. And like, I just instantly loved what you were doing because it's perfect. It was right around the time, too. There was a study that was released that talked about the benefits of physical health and activity for mental health being almost two times more effective than counseling or medication alone.
Oh
Now,
yeah, absolutely.
there is a lot of more data in that study than just that, but that's kind of the short of it. I was like, well, that makes a lot of sense to me because that's something that you can do because you don't have to make an appointment. You can just do it, whether, like you said, you go run for 6 miles, whether you drop down, do some push ups and sit ups in your own living room. It is something that can be done pretty much anywhere, anytime,
Yeah.
and it's instant results. You don't have to wait for an appointment. You don't have to like find a therapeutic range of medication. Like you just do it and it's there.
Yeah, like I caught myself like 2 days ago, for example, like, I woke up and I was just, like, stressed, because I work overnight, so I was just, like, tired, I was just stressed 'cause I'm sure I had, like, a busy night at work, and obviously, I'm trying to work on this apparel company, my business on the side, and I'm just, like I could wake up just tired, flooded with, like, 1,000 emails, like, because I'm also customer support at the same time, right? I'm just, like, burnt out, sometimes I was just, like, washed, and, like, my fiance would be like, "Are you, like, I could just come up with, like, moody, for example. I was like, "I'm fine. I just had to, like, go, like, work out. I had to go, like, run or something." So I come back, and it's just like you feel those highs. It's like, "I'm good." It's just like instant gratification where you get that runner's high, you release some chemicals, and I feel great. That, like, no as you said, no medication, no doctor can make you feel like you just that's why I always want to champion exercise with this brand. Like, deemed fit for duty, as you said, once you start caring about your physical fitness, your mind is going to come right after that. It's scientific fact. It's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, one leads right into another, right? You make one healthy habit change, it typically allows you to make multiple healthy habit change, which overall is going to have a huge impact on that mental health. The other thing that I think was cool about what you're doing is just simply from the fact of being really proactive about it and putting it really front and center of like it's okay to just talk about it, for it to be out there that one of your number one sellers, the "Are you okay?" shirt, like that's
Yeah, that was supposed to just be sold with this charity like a year and a half ago, like a quick thing with them for about 2 weeks and then discontinued. And the way it just caught fire was amazing. Yeah, and that's like that's being sold every minute. A hoodie's being sold, and it's great because it gets my brand out there and it also gets the important message out there. So yeah, as you
yeah.
said,
Well, that's super cool just because in my mind it shows the shift in the stigma and the culture behind mental health. And it doesn't have to be this big scary thing. And just because you see a counselor, or even maybe you don't even need to see a counselor, but just because you talk about it just allows us to process that in a more healthy way. Fitness also, especially for males, is pretty beneficial in us processing our mental health. There's another study behind that as well, but I like that that's a number one seller for you because it means that people are not as scared of the stigma anymore and are trying to promote that it's okay to not be okay. I know that's not my
yeah,
saying, that's
yeah,
been said by a lot of people,
right.
but
Just combines both themes, like law enforcement, we have the thin blue line, firemen, firewomen also. We have the red line. EMS or 911 dispatchers, I'm sorry, has the yellow line. So now we're able to just combine both worlds together and make it, and as you said, like it's okay to be vulnerable, like we're supposed to be like, these tough, rugged, fully tatted up cops that are tough. And like it's like no, it's okay to be vulnerable in your field.
yeah, absolutely. We're still just like any other human on this planet, right? Like we still deal with the same things that anyone else does, whether it's money issues or relationship issues, whatever it might be. Plus, we go out and we still try and help people on top of it.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, thankfully, I've said this in a number of my podcasts, but I had a mentor early on that told me to be very proactive about that. He told me to go out and find a counselor early on in my career that basically I could be on their client list. And anytime I needed a check in, I could just call them and do a check in, right? And that has helped me more times than I can count. It has been very beneficial for me. All of that to say, in the same sense of what you're doing, of just being a very proactive mindset and putting it out there for people to see so that it's just one more thing in breaking that stigma
Yeah.
that has been so ingrained in the first responder space. And I get it. Back in the day, you showed weakness like that, chances are you probably didn't have a job for long, or that was the theory behind it. And that really isn't the case anymore. Uh, as long as you are being active about getting help and doing what's right. And for us specifically out here, our chief is big in saying like, man, you are upfront with me and come to me ahead of time. Like I will make sure I have your back in whatever way I possibly can. And so that goes a long ways too. So we need that support from our admin, but just in the sense that you're throwing it out there for everybody to see is awesome.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Very well said.
Okay, so man, what has been the transformation that you've seen? What year did you first start this clothing company?
But like spring of 2022, I started like thinking of the idea of it and like building like the kind of foundation for it and like learning and like from podcasts and basic stuff on like not even like how to like what to do with apparel, but like how to like even run a business, like the absolute basics, like everything. I knew nothing. It's like how do I make a website? How do I like the only thing I had set in spring of 2022 were like the logos, and that's all I had. We started selling in 2023 officially, and then just it's you know like any business, I guess now I could say it's cool, but like it's frustrating like it's always interesting to see like the valleys of like how much you go into it. Mountains, valleys, where it's like you're learning so much, but but you learn through so much mistakes. Why did I sell this? That was a terrible idea. Like, oh my God, I did this. And then just like one time I had like 200 hoodies that came, they were all misprinted. And it's just like, it's like the little things like that, that only I remember in time, like screaming into my pillow, just freaking out. Like,
Yeah.
and then to now, like seeing it now where like I scaled up where I don't even ship my own stuff anymore. I used to ship every person's t-shirt and stuff, and now I don't do that anymore. I use a warehouse in Bayou, I guess in Nevada that
Sure.
they
Yeah.
do. Like it's kind of cool seeing like how I knew nothing to like now I know a lot more, but just like how much you learn about yourself really too. Like how many times I was like, I'm just gonna like there could be a day or two or a couple of days I go without one sale and I'm just like, you know what the heck am I doing? To now like sales are pretty good and stuff, and it's just cool to see like the evolution of it continue to grow. And like I'm not satisfied. I wanted to keep scaling it
Totally.
up. But it's just nice to like it's just like I catch myself too. I keep telling myself, all right, 5 years from now, this is gonna be like up there with Grunt Style and Nine Line Apparel, those well-known apparel companies. And I'm just like, why would I not wait for the future? How about like I just like enjoy the journey right now, like growing this out and going through those days of frustration and stuff like that. Hopefully, when I get higher up, I'm gonna miss these days of the struggles and stuff. So I have to like remember to kind of like enjoy the present right now. Enjoy all the frustrations because that's
Sure.
like when I listen to podcasts of like business owners when they started it, they said I would do anything to go back to those struggling days where you're grinding, grinding, grinding. Because that's like
That's where you're learning and growing.
that's the fun of it. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah, man, I can't even put myself in your shoes because I obviously I'm not in the same boat, but apparel and owning a business so much different than running a podcast or anything like that. But yeah, sometimes it is just a grind. And like there's times where even with this podcast, it's like, oh man, I gotta do this episode and then I gotta edit it. And boy, is it really worth, but it is. It's fun. It gives me a chance to meet new people, gives me a chance to make connections,
that's another thing.
and I love that.
Yeah, that's another thing I was gonna say. This apparel company made me like. There's no way that me and you're from Ohio. There's no way we would ever
Idaho,
cross.
Idaho, yeah.
Idaho. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
There's
okay.
no way that we would ever cross paths in our lives. And like I've done like podcasts in the past with people from California or Texas or like Nevada or like Florida, like, and even just meeting other people like that help my business, like my videographers in Colorado and this nonprofit that I want to work with more in Napa, California. It's just so cool how I'm able to develop relationships with people that there's no way I would have ever done it. I would have just been alone, with my little network of friends and family on Long Island, New York, in our own little bubble. Like everyone at the end of the day lives in their own bubbles of like their friends and families, and they don't go outside of it. And this is cool too because this allows me to go outside of it and develop relationships with people from all over the country. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, so how much growth do you feel like you've seen? I mean, I can tell you even from when I first came across your apparel and your website, like, I think you might have only had maybe 6 pieces of clothing for men and 6 for women, and now that's expanded quite a bit.
Yeah, and it was
So
probably an old website too. Like yeah, so like it's
yeah, it
just
was. It was the older website when I first came across it.
yeah, exactly. I mean, as like part of the growth too is like anything I make, I put back into it. I have to take a dollar from Dean Fit. I'm taking anything. I'm just used to just anything I make, I just put back in and just let it grow. I'm a big believer in delayed gratification. Just like I'm not gonna take anything from it now because the more I scale up, the more then I'm able to contribute to nonprofits and get more well known rather than just like keeping it as it is right now and stable and then just start making money from it now. I'd rather just keep growing it because the more and more you grow, the more well known you are, the more you can then give back to nonprofits and like the more of an impact that you could do. So that's why I believe in just keep scaling it until like I don't know when I'm gonna be satisfied. That's nothing. Like I just want to keep. I'm just so addicted to scaling. I'm like I don't. I'm just gonna scale, scale, scale. So
So you already talked about this in your intro, but Tunnel of Towers was kind of the start, right? Along with Beyond the Badge, NYC, and then you do elementary school support, and then any fire departments, police departments individually that are in need. And you said specifically when you have nonprofits that reach out to you. Are you still doing Tunnel of the Towers and Beyond the Badge, or is it more now just like nonprofits that reach out to you?
So yeah, so I have apparel on my website for Tunnel to Towers. So I have like this licensing agreement with them only so that I'm able to use their logos. And I do this thing where 10% of proceeds goes to them off every hoodie from Tunnel to Towers and shirts that you buy. And we recently did this thing a couple months ago where someone reached out because in order to run in the Tunnel to Towers marathon, you have to raise like I think their cap was 5 grand that they have to raise. So they reached out to me and said, "Hey, Mike, we see that you did this thing for Tunnel to Towers. If you make custom apparel for us and sell it on your website, are you able to assist us in raising money for their charity for Tunnel to Towers? That way she could run the marathon because of her late father, I believe, that passed away from 9/11 related cancer." I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So through apparel sales, we raised about, I think we raised about 3 or 4 grand for them. That way it kind of catapulted her over that finish line to then run in the marathon for Tunnel to Towers. And then in September, my plan is 100% of sales from that hoodie and shirt will go to Tunnel to Towers. So
Okay.
Tunnel to Towers is kind of like an agreement that I have in perpetuity where I'm always going to have that apparel on my website. Because to be more personal, I lost my father to 9/11 related cancer. Tunnel to Towers kind of holds dear and true in my
Yeah,
heart. So
absolutely.
that's why, I'll always, every year, always re up that licensing agreement with Tunnel to Towers because, they're so legit, they're nationally known, and, it hits home with me and my family. So, yeah, Tunnel to Towers is something that I'll always do. As far as anything else with mental health, we started to do this collaboration with this, and I think you have my About Us page
Hmm.
toward the bottom. We started doing, I designed this new T-shirt called, it's like Fight the Stigma, and that is with a nonprofit from, I believe they're in Napa, California. They're called E5 Therapy. They're veteran owned, and they raise money for counseling for military members and first responders. We literally just started that collaboration about a month ago. So 100% of proceeds from that shirt goes to them. So every month, my plan is to obviously, send the donations from that shirt purchases to them. So they're kind of they're also a nonprofit based out of California that I want to work with closely. Also because I love the fact that they're veteran owned. What they do for fellow veterans and first responders is awesome. So yeah, so that is something that's actually literally on the newer side as well. So,
Okay.
again, there's other nonprofits that have reached out. As much as I would love to try to like help everyone out, I don't want to, I've spread myself out there. I'm like, oh my god, I'm
Sure.
trying to do my best to try to, raise money for everyone. Yeah, I mean, as again, going back to what I said before, I would love to get bigger so I can help everyone. But I'm trying
Totally.
to, you know, because if I say do like 1 month for this charity, 1 month for this charity, then it's better to get everyone, you know, to focus on one at a time opposed to trying to spread myself out thin and like help everyone. I can't do that. But yeah, again, with time, I hope to help as much as I can.
Awesome, man. Well, I've got one in particular that I'm going to connect you with at the end of this podcast, because I think there's potential of a really good fit and a really good growing partnership there for you. But with that being said, it is just awesome to see the growth that you've had. It's awesome to look at your website the way it is now. I'm an ambassador for you, and I am probably one of your worst ambassadors, and I apologize. But with that being said, I'm going to throw up the link for that with this podcast so that people can get a discount when they go and look through the gear. But you're doing awesome things, man, and I'm excited to see that continued growth because I think it's going to go a long ways, and I'm excited to see what all is going to come out of that.
Yeah, I appreciate you being a part of it. I really do.
Absolutely, man. It is. It's just like you said, man, it is all about relationships and supporting one another in this journey that we have going through being first responders and still having the pride in what we do because people should. I mean, they're like I said, we're not special in any way, but when you take the oath or whatever part of being a first responder that you sign up for, there should be a sense of pride behind that.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm all in. I definitely love what you're doing. And what's cool about your stuff too is it is for first responders, but really this is for anybody who wants to train with some purpose in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. The only kind of like patriotic apparel that I'm going to have is the one that's currently on our website. Now it's really just going to be more minimalistic designs, but the content is going to be based around, the messaging that you fell in love with and other people love, just so that it's not just for first responders. It's for anyone that kind of feels the same things that we were talking about. So yeah, it's and even if you are not a cop or a fireman or EMS or not, or 911 dispatcher, but people who have sons or daughters who are, or husbands and wives that are, it's for them also. Yeah, the more the merrier, really.
Yeah. Obviously people can support you by going to your website, buying some apparel. What other type of support are you looking for as you continue to grow and create this movement overall? Obviously, I'm still looking to bring on ambassadors that are demoing your gear and showing it. Collaborators as well. What else are you
Yeah.
looking for?
Yeah, I mean, collaborators would be great. I mean, the ambassador program is great to really get the message out there, but anyone that has like a big, strong social media presence that, is obviously pro law enforcement, pro military, that wants to assist in really getting the messaging out there is, I'll never turn down anyone that wants to network and be a helping hand in the movement. So yeah, absolutely. Because as we said at the beginning of the podcast, it's me, myself, and I that run this apparel company. I have no partners. I have no social media manager. I have nothing. So that's why I'm always pro networking with individuals like you that assist in kind of getting the brand out there. So that would be great. Anyone that wants to believe in, the brand mission to really just spread the word, I guess, on what we do and everything and how we're, totally legit and look to do good. That would be great. I would happy to network and connect with anyone.
Okay, great. Let's hit you with some of these rapid fire questions. So, what is your go-to hype song before a lift or before a shift even?
Man, my go-to hype song. That's a tough question, man. There's not one song specifically. I just more so like EDM music that can, like,
Okay.
as I said, when I'm about to go for a run, something like EDM, like fast beat, like going to get me going, really. So
Yeah,
any
something to get your heart rate to match that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I don't have a one good song.
Okay. That's fine. Don't have to. Man, I'm the type of person that my playlist has probably every variation of
Mine
music
too.
on
I
it.
always
Yeah.
say it. Yeah, yeah. I could have like 1980s classical music that my parents like 1980s rock and roll. I think is great, and then I'll have something that was made yesterday or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, exactly. There's nothing consistent, and there's no consistent genre either. It could be any genre.
Okay. So for you work out quite a bit. What do you feel is one exercise that never gets enough love?
I used to hate cardio. I
Okay.
despise cardio, but now I am not against it at all. I really do. Something I used to do, and I still kind of do it in my workouts, is by the end of every workout, you have to have finished 100 burpees, no matter how you did it.
Okay.
Whether you do bicep curls, you do 10, 20, and then get down to 20 burpees. Then once you go on to your next movement, so you're doing lat pull downs, you do 10 to 15, get down to 10 burpees. And by the end of your total session, you should have finished 100 burpees. And before
Mm,
you know it, you're doing that every day, 100 times 7, you're doing 700 burpees a week. You're doing about 2,800 burpees a month. And that honestly was life changing for me. It really was. I started that in like 2021, and I still do it for the most part every day. Don't be afraid of the burpee. It's the best
okay.
exercise in the world.
So with that being said, do you have fitness background, Mike, or has fitness just always been a passion?
I do actually. I'm a certified personal trainer, and
Okay.
I also have my nutrition coach license.
Okay.
actually, not to plug, it's funny you say this. I'm actually working on how to implement that on the website where we offer online coaching for like first responders, for exercise and diet. Because that way it's like, all right, not only, going back to what you were saying before, right? Deemed fit for duty, you gotta be physically fit, mentally fit. We don't want to offer only apparel. Like now let's try to do
Mm.
online coaching, online, nutrition. So I've actually been working on that like a lot recently. It's not available yet on the website, but yeah, I'm big time into exercise and fitness and nutrition. Absolutely.
Well, that's exciting. That I mean, obviously, that already speaks to one of my ending questions, which is always what's next, and it sounds like that's what's next for you and the website. And I think that's awesome, man. Any way that you can pour back into what you do and love with whatever passions that you have on the side is great. That came up in a podcast a couple weeks ago, a firefighter out of Modesto, California, similar in the sense that he had a passion for fitness, had, and he started as a trainer in gym and then went into the fire service and now basically is doing the training for the recruit academies. And so yeah, I love that, man, and
Yeah, that's
I
great.
I think
Yeah.
that's
And
great.
as I said before, I'm a solopreneur, so I don't know if I could have every client that comes to Deem Fit for online training, but maybe you reach out to the guy at Modesto or something. When I scale up, other people work for Deem Fit as online trainers and fitness
Yeah,
coaches, nutrition coaches. That way I can't do that plus everything else. It'd be a
yeah,
lot. So I'll see how
possibilities are endless.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah,
there's so much that I could do with the Dean Fit brand that I don't think I even scratched the surface yet. So yes, it is an apparel company, but there's so much that we could do to get fellow first responders and military members like Team Fit for Duty, and that's gonna involve exercise and nutrition as well. So that's something that will I hope to have rolled out by like September.
so Mike, one other question for you. So with your fitness and being in law enforcement, of course, the generalization has always been that essentially you got to be fit. It makes sense. You got to chase down bad guys. And you've already alluded to this, that obviously you want all around fit and wellness. And so being physically fit to be mentally fit as well. But what do you feel the main reason for your fitness is in your job other than just chasing down bad guys?
I mean, because when we're at work or when we're going to work, we have to be fit to handle any job. Like, yeah, it's a lot more than just catching bad guys or anything like that. But you really do have to be you really do have to be like mentally on your game and physically on your game to handle not only the jobs itself, like physically, but also you could be at work for 25 hours doing paperwork, or you have to be staying awake for 20 hours at a detail while you're working, or you have to, you just have to be always on your game because you could just be driving and the next second there could be some total like crazy call where you're running for 2 miles and you need to assist another officer that's down, God forbid. Or not only that, but you have to also be physically fit because God forbid anything happens to you. The best thing that you could do right now is make sure you have a strong immune system. Like there's so much, but even along with that, there's so much stress that goes into our jobs that along with our jobs, we also have to go home to a family, or I don't have kids, but you also have to go home to kids. So like you have to have the mental fortitude to be handle not only the job while you're there, but you also have to make sure you come back and you have your full-time job at home with your wife and your kids. So the only way to do that is to have a sharp mind and obviously be in great physical shape, because it's not only just the job itself you're worried about, but it's your whole overall life that you have to be able to kind of withstand. And the best way to do
Absolutely.
that is exercise and a healthy diet. You can't be having dominoes at 4 a.m. with your friends at work and then go back home and try to have a normal life with your family. You can't do that consistently anyway. Maybe sometimes you could cheat with the boys at work, but you know,
Totally.
you gotta have an overall healthy mindset for everything, because the job itself is gonna make you very, very stressed. So that is gonna have a direct impact on how you behave at home. So that's why overall you have to have a nice, healthy theme in your life to kind of withhold not only your work, but also your personal life as well.
Very well said. I'm going to tie into it like this. When you become a first responder, you are asked to carry weight, and not just your own weight, but the weight of the people that you work with, the weight of the community potentially, right? I'm not saying that we're martyrs, we take it all on, but the reality is we aren't professional athletes, but we are tactical athletes. We are asked to wear extra gear that on a regular basis. Like what does your kit weigh when
Um,
typically?
I think because we have the what do we call it? We have the vest
Right,
where we carry everything. So I think it's an extra 20 or something like that. Something like that.
right.
Let's just call it like an even 20 25. Yeah.
Right. So you have that on constantly. And then not only that, but like you said, you might be asked to go from, and like you said, it's not always chasing bad guys. You might get called to a car accident where you just need to move somebody off of a road. So you've got to jump out of your cruiser, your vehicle, whatever you respond in, and get over to them rapidly, where you might have been sitting down doing paperwork just right before that. So you got to be ready to go at a moment's notice. And so we have to train and prepare for that, not just to be physically strong, but to also make sure that our bodies are capable of handling that connective tissue, all the other stuff needs to be well-rounded fitness. And then you're right, like even in the simple aspect of doing that so that we can be as mentally sharp as we possibly can be, both at work and then being able to process and leave work and go back to our families, friends, whatever it might be, and have the normal resemblance of a life back home too, to where we're not bringing work with us everywhere that we go.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly it.
So
Very well
very
said.
well said. Okay, so for you, what's your message to responders out there who might feel stuck, burned out, or really unsure where to begin?
I think it just starts with you know, that first step. I feel like people will like, say anxiety where like they look at this whole problem and like how do I figure this whole thing out? It's always just start with like the low hanging fruit first, where it's just only control what you can like today in this exact moment. It's like, all right, how do I start exercising? Just start little. Just do something very, very basic. Start walking. I live next to a boardwalk. Just walk on the boardwalk for 1 mile a day. Are you feeling good? Make it a second mile. And then when you come back, don't, have something more healthy opposed to, like I don't know, some junk food. Just start with baby steps and then it just you get used to like, all right, now I'm used to this. I'm ready to graduate to the next level. And then slowly but surely you're gonna go up and up and up that mountain. Don't try to go from here to there. Go from here to here. Then good, you graduated. Go up here. Good, you graduated. Go up here. It's not all or nothing. It's like, oh, I can't do all that. It's like, no, you don't have to start up here. You can start down here, and then you're eventually gonna go up there. So
Yeah. That has been said over and over again. So you're echoing what a number of my guests on the podcast have said previously. I'm going to add in one thing that I've been seeing recently, a big thing that people are starting to do, like what you said with just walking. Every time that you eat a meal, go for about a 20-25 minute walk right after your meal. It really helps with digestion and for any insulin spikes. It has been shown to be extremely beneficial. And that's an easy one. Like all you got to go outside and just walk a little bit after you get done eating. So perfect. Very well said. I'm glad you're saying the same thing as everything else. Okay. So would you say that one of your messages would be that you're not alone? We as a whole, a community, first responders, we're building something bigger and we need you, all of you. So
yeah,
would you say that's a good message for Deemed Fit, that you're
yeah,
just trying to build something and you just want to bring people in?
yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think like our theme is kind of as we're alluding to before is like it's okay for you to kind of speak up and that you're not alone because it's gonna make other people like such as yourself step up and say, hey, I like this, I agree with this, I'm you know kind of rallying around this message. And then from that it basically compounds where this belief and thought overall is within a lot of first responders and most first responders, that you're not alone. And we just have to continue to spread this message. That way more people like myself or like you or someone like from your like your friend from California, and just let it compound from state to state to county of everyone rallying against each other to kind of say the same message. So
Okay.
yeah, I think the more we talk about it, the more others will talk about it, and so on and so forth. And this belief will just compound, compound and compound until it reaches out to all the people that feel like they are alone.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Mike. So just to wrap up, it seems like the best way to follow you is through social media, going on your website, checking out your website, which both of those will be linked here in the podcast. Are you pretty much on every platform? Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, I don't have like YouTube. I have
Okay.
Instagram's probably our biggest one, and
Okay.
Facebook, deemed_fit.
Okay. Um, and then support wise, buy a shirt, buy some shorts. It's awesome stuff. Get on there, become an ambassador, find out ways that you might be interested in collaborating. And then if you are a nonprofit listening to this or associated with one and you've got something coming up or you feel like it might be a good fit, reach out to Mike. Best way to reach out to you, email or just through Instagram.
Probably Instagram DMs. Yeah, we're pretty very very active on social media a lot.
Okay.
So
All right. Yeah. Anything else? Any other ways for people to kind of join your movement other than that?
I think you just said it well. Yeah,
Okay.
the social media deemed_fit, and our website's deemedfit.com. So you'll see our about us page on there. You see right now we have a 4th of July, deal. So yeah, you go to deemedfit.com, you learn more about us, what's our mission, how we started. And yeah, then the social media, you see all our posts and what we have done in the past. So that's
Okay.
it.
Great, Mike. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
All right. Thank you very much.
That's it for this episode of the Forging Wellness Podcast. If you found value in today's conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could benefit. Your support keeps this mission going. Want to help us grow? Consider making a donation. Every bit helps us bring more impactful content your way. Follow us on Instagram at Forging Wellness 208 and check us out on YouTube. Thanks for being a part of the journey. Keep forging your wellness, and we'll see you next time.